Relevance of substance abuse and HIV/AIDS. In the history of mankind, there have been many epidemics. Epidemics are diseases which spread so fast that they kill thousands of people in the area in a short time. The Black Death in the Middle Ages killed half of the population of Europe, and in 2019, COVID-19 pandemic has killed n number of people globally. Here we'll be introducing you to another epidemic which has taken thousands of lives and threatens millions of lives all over the world. This epidemic is called substance abuse, which is usually known as drug addiction or substance abuse disorder. The aim of this series is to inform and educate everyone, particularly youth, on the hazards of the drugs. We cannot prevent addiction by scare tactics or by threats. Although we may never eliminate dangerous drugs, we can minimize the dangers by giving sound, honest, and realistic information. It is possible that you have direct experience of persons who use alcohol or other drugs. Here, we will explain what substance abuse is and analyze the reasons why people abuse drugs, become addicts to drugs. Importance of the study of substance abuse and HIV/AIDS. The most precious possession we have on earth is our life. Quality of life is measured by many factors. There is an idiom that says, a healthy mind in a healthy body. Maintaining a healthy mind is very important for every human being. This is possible only by learning to take care of one's health. We learn this from our home and from the lessons we learn at school and other social organizations of society, or in other words, through the socialization process. At school, we learnt of many important measures to keep ourselves and our society healthy. We are told many times that alcohol and other intoxicating food and drinks are dangerous for our health and the well-being of the society. Just like we learn safety rules of traffic for our own benefit, we should also learn more about drugs and HIV/AIDS because these have become a part of our everyday lives. In case of drugs and HIV/AIDS, ignorance can be death. No AIDS, no AIDS. No drugs, no drugs. In recent times, alcohol and other intoxicating drugs have posed a great threat to humanity because unlike in the past, intoxicating drugs have become more widely used by people, especially the young. It has become a fashion to use alcohol even at a very young age. Beside alcohol, there are many other killers drugs in the market, which can make person dependent on them for a lifetime if he or she uses them for 5 or 6 times. Heroin, cocaine, and other drugs which are available in the market have destroyed many young lives. Much of this has happened due to ignorance. This information we get about drugs and alcohol mainly from magazines and friends is incomplete or faulty. Since our life and often the lives of our dear ones depend on the correct and adequate information about this, these lessons are very important. You might be already aware about HIV/AIDS and about its various modes of infection. Many of the drug abusers use syringes to inject drugs into their bodies. They also share the same needle among many without properly sterilizing it. This spreads the HIV virus among the drug users. Under the influence of alcohol and other drugs, they also engage in sexual activities with infected persons. This way, an uninfected person can easily become an HIV positive case even with one such act. Proper information will lead to right motivation. This makes it all the more important to learn about the connections between drug abuse and HIV/AIDS. Relationship between substance abuse and HIV/AIDS. The two killer diseases, drug abuse and HIV/AIDS, are very closely related to the following reasons. Though HIV/AIDS may be considered of recent origin, the drug abuse has been existing in our culture since ages. Both affect mainly the young people. Both have no permanent cure. Both have social implications and both have healthy and health-related issues. Drug abuse and HIV/AIDS are considered socio-medical problems which appear during the last quarter of the 20th century. It is true that people have been using alcohol from very ancient time, but it was never a social problem as it has become today. As we mentioned earlier, other psychotropic drugs which have high addictive potential are of very recent origin. With the advancement of communication and transportation facilities, the availability of these drugs has become much easier. Drug produced in any part of the globe can reach any other part within a few days or even in few hours' time. HIV virus was detected just in 1981. Yet, within a span of less than 20 years, it has become a major global health problem threatening the population of several countries. The majority of the people who become prey to drug abuse and HIV/AIDS are young people. The young are more curious to try out new things and experiment with new kinds of behavior. Due to this, in some countries like Uganda, Africa, the entire young population has died. It is also due to the fact that these diseases are spread through particular kind of behavior. One of the major routes of transmission of HIV virus is sexual act. Under the influence of drugs, individuals can become irresponsible in their sexual relations. Till now, no cure has been found for HIV/AIDS and drug abuse. Some treatment is possible to control the disease, but they do not offer any permanent cure. This makes it all the more important that preventive measures like education and behavior modification are given greater emphasis in the school as well as in the educational field. These are the most effective ways to protect the individual and the society. When it comes to HIV/AIDS, antiretroviral therapy helps to expand the life expectancy of an individual who is infected with HIV. Both HIV/AIDS as well as drug abuse are social problems. Both of them affect the well-being of the individual as well as of the society. They also has a very long-lasting effect on the life of the society. This is because treatment of these health conditions is a very expensive procedure and it affects the productivity of the society. Without sufficient care and control, this can lead to destruction of the society to a certain extent. The health of the individual affects the health of the society. Drug abuse kills the person in the prime of his youth. An AIDS-infected person can hope to live for 10 to 15 years or even more with ART, that is antiretroviral therapy. Much of this time he will be spending in healthcare centers. They both kill slowly but surely. What is substance abuse? Earlier, we have used the term drug abuse and substance abuse to explain the same phenomena. Similarly, we have also used the term abuse and addiction to mean the same thing. We shall explain these words in terms one by one. What is drug? According to World Health Organization, a drug is any substance which introduced into a living organism can modify the state of equilibrium of the organism or one of its functions. A drug is any chemical that can be used for medical or non-medical purpose. In the strict sense of the word, a drug is any substance that can modify the mental activity of the user. Drugs are chemicals that act on the central nervous system of the user. They are also called psychotropic drugs. They can be licit or illicit. Definition of drug abuse. According to Mitchell, drug abuse is the improper or illegal use of a drug, taking it in excessive dose or where no medical reason exists. After the Renaissance, the Industrial Revolution, there was tremendous progress in all the areas of science. Opium occupied a very important place in the medical preparations. The English physician like Thomas Sydenham 1624 to 1689 and Dr. Thomas Dover were ardent promoters of opium as a powerful remedy for many illnesses. The World Health Organization has defined drug abuse as a state of periodic or chronic intoxication detrimental to the individual and the society, produced by the repeated consumption of a drug, natural or synthetic. Its characteristics include an overpowering desire or need, that is compulsion, to continue taking the drug and to obtain it by any means. Second, a tendency to increase the dose. Third, a psychic, that is psychological and sometimes a physical dependence on the effect of the drug. The World Health Organization has recommended the term drug dependence rather than drug abuse to emphasize two facts: that the individual who uses the chemical becomes dependent on the chemical for his lifetime and that the person uses the chemical for his own survival. Important terms are cocaine. It is a drug made from cocoa plant which can be used also as a painkiller. excessive desire, a physical or psychological need beyond the control of the will. HIV AIDS, HIV, human immunodeficiency virus, and AIDS stands for acquired immunodeficiency syndrome. Heroin, a highly addictive painkiller chemical produced from opium poppy. Intoxicating means capable of making a person drunk or leading him beyond self-control. Socio-medical refers to something related to field of both sociology as well as medicine. Sterilize means making free from disease producing germs. Dependence can be of two types: physical dependence or psychical dependence. When an individual uses a particular habit forming chemical for a period of time, his body gets used to its effects for its normal functioning. After a period of time, it becomes impossible for that person to function normally without the chemical. In other words, person's body becomes dependent on the chemical for its normal functioning. Psychical dependence. This is a state of mind. When a person uses chemical for a period of time, or euphoric feeling related to the chemical gets registered in the mind. Although the person can manage to maintain his physical life without the chemical, his mind craves for the chemical. Ganja is one of such drugs which produces psychic craving without producing physical dependency. Tolerance. This is the effect of prolonged use of a habit-forming chemical. When a drug is used for some time, the body and mind get used to the effect of the drug. There it will require more and more drug to produce the same effect. A normal life experience will explain this. If a person uses one tablet to reduce headache today, he may require 2 or more tablets to reduce his or her headache later in life. Withdrawal. A person who is using a chemical for a long time will get used to the effects of the chemical. When the person suddenly stops the use of the chemical, his body and mind will start reacting to the absence of the particular chemical. Detoxification. It is a gradual withdrawal by physically dependent drug users, most often using decreasing amount of either the specific drug of dependence or cross-tolerant drugs. Detoxification can also be done without the help of other drugs. If the person is ready to go through the withdrawal syndrome, in some cases, acupuncture methods also have been found helpful. Let's talk about history of substance abuse. Substance abuse is an old as human history. Almost all the ancient religious texts refer to the use of mind-altering substances. Religious epics have referred to these chemicals as the food of the gods. Secular epics like the Iliad and the Odyssey mention about some kind of plant that could make one forget all the cares and worries of life. Greek soldiers took some kind of preparation of opium and other kinds of drugs to dull their senses when they were on war. The Greek god Virtus and Roman goddess Charis were patrons of wine and intoxication. The history of opium. The clay tablets found at the excavation site of some of the ancient Sumerian town have reference to the cultivation of poppies and preparation of opium, which dates back to 5000 BC. They called the poppy plant a joy. The Assyrians who conquered the Sumerians seem to have used opium as a medicine. We have no way of knowing whether at that period there was a widespread abuse of opium or not. The Egyptians too used opium. They used it as a remedy for some diseases as well as painkiller. It was possible that they used it mixed with wine. The Romans used opium both as a medicine as well as a sedative. The Romans punished treasons by crucifixion. When they wanted to show some compassion for the victim, they used to offer the convict wine mixed with an opium preparation to reduce his pain. Hippocrates, the Greek physician known as the father of medicine, was possibly acquainted with poppy juice, for he has referred to a substance called mecon. With both anti-purgative and narcotic action, Galen was the leading Roman physician who encouraged the use of opium. He was instrumental in popularizing the use of opium in Rome and in the Roman Empire. As a result, even the emperor's service became an addict to opium. Opium was sold in the Roman market by the second half of the 2nd century AD. Arab physicians used opium extensively. The most famous of them was Avicenna, AD 1980 to 1037. He himself seems to have died of an overdose of opium. It is alleged that it was the Arab traders who introduced opium to the East around this time. The Arab traders took opium to China and to other parts of the Eastern world. Barbosa, the Portuguese traveler, mentioned opium as an Indian product. In 1546, the French naturalist Bellon traveled through Asia Minor and Egypt and found that the Turks were such great opium addicts that they were ready to purchase it with their last penny. History of alcohol. From ancient time, the human race had learnt the art of brewing fermented liquor. The use of liquor was widespread because it formed a part of the ceremonial and sacrificial rites in the Vedic period. Even during these times, narcotic products of the hemp plant, ganja, were mostly used for medicinal purposes. Discussing the familiarities of our ancient with alcohol, Simmons, in his book Alcohol, Its Production, Properties and Applications, says, there is little doubt that distilled alcoholic beverage have been known in India since 800 BC and in Sri Lanka from time immemorial. Dr. John Chokapura, Alcoholism, Psychosocial Variables, 1988. Although alcohol, like opium, has many healing properties, its potential for abuse has been known to humankind from ancient times. Society and religion have been trying to minimize the danger of alcohol since 1700 BC, when the Code of Hammurabi, 1700 BC, attempted to regulate dining house in Babylon. Roman Empire tried prohibition of alcohol by discouraging grape production. People were encouraged to cut down vineyards and produce grain instead. In the Middle Ages, in some of the European countries, heavy drinkers were led out of town by a cord sprung through their nostril. Religion has been able to reduce alcohol use and even impose abstinence to some extent, but legislation was not as successful as religious interventions. In the days prior to the Industrial Revolution, alcoholism did not create the kind of threat that it poses today. With new methods of producing alcoholism and alcoholic drinks, with a higher content of alcohol in them, the problem has become more serious. Besides, today there is promotion of alcohol consumption through advertisement and other campaigns. History of psychotropic drugs. Abuse of psychotropic drugs became a matter of serious concern after the First World War. In 1898, heroin was synthetically produced from opium by Heinrich Dresser. During the First World War, heroin was used to treat wounded soldiers. The Second World War produced many soldiers who were treated with heroin for their wounds and who later became addicts. Over the past 3 decades, the use of illegal drugs has spread at an unprecedented rate and has reached every part of the globe. No nation has been immune to the problem of drug abuse at the same time. The world community has shown intense concern over the problem. During the middle and late 1960s, a great deal was heard about LSD. By 1970, it was estimated that some 2 million people were taking LSD all over the world. Cocaine and heroin became popular in the late 1960s. Rock music and hippie culture contributed to the growth and spread of drug culture. The later part of 17 saw the emergence of various terrorist groups all over the world. Terrorism, arms, trades, and drug trafficking go together. The drug trade in the Golden Triangle and the cocaine trade in the South American continent are controlled by various terrorist groups. Substance abuse as a health issue. We need to educate communities, particularly the young one, how to cope in a society where drugs proliferate. This is only possible if political leaders, lawmakers, and society at larger region recognize the many dimensions of the drug problem and all work together to support the efforts of health professionals. Substance abuse, like an epidemic, has touched every corner of the world. New drug and more dangerous patterns are replacing the old cultural patterns of drug abuse. Therefore, society should become aware of the need to prevent drug abuse collectively. Health policies of the government must take into account drug issues in framing health policies. The drug policies should integrate health issues in their preview. Public perception of drug abuse. The state shall regard the raising of the level of nutrition and the standard of living of its people and the improvement of public health as at among its primary duties. And in particular, the state shall endeavour to bring about prohibition of the consumption, except for medicinal purposes, of intoxicating drugs, intoxicating drinks, and of which are injurious to health. The Constitution of India, Article 47. Mahatma Gandhi, the father of our nation, has said, if I were appointed director for 1 hour in India, the first thing I would do would be to close without compensation all liquor shops and destroy all toddy palms. The Harijan, 1935. The way we see the problem will decide the way we solve it. The public perception of alcohol has been ambivalent. There have been economic and political compulsion preventing an effective implementation of prohibition in India. The threat of drug abuse is a serious problem. At the same time, the lack of awareness on the part of the public is also an equally serious one. Today, India has more stringent laws to punish drug-related offences and also has more treatment centers. A serious combined effort on the part of the public and the government is not yet forthcoming. Some of the reasons for this situation are noted as indifference. Indifference to a situation is due to ignorance. The general public has many false notions about drug abuse. Some consider it as a problem of the Western countries, while others blame the rich. Either way, it is not seen as a problem that affects the nation and its functioning. Sense of helplessness. Addiction is still seen as a crime or a moral weakness. Due to this, parents and relation of the addict hide it. There is a sense of shame and guilt on the part of the family member which prevent them from seeking help on time. Besides, the relapse rate of those who are treated is so high that often the addict and their relative see no point in seeking help. Moralizing. The spread of addiction is blamed on the spread of Western lifestyle. Although there is some truth in it, blaming does not help to solve the problem. Today, it is not possible for one to live in isolation. The benefits of the Western civilization cannot be enjoyed without getting some of its evil effects. What is the solution? One way of this situation is a common sense approach, educating the people in the proper way to reduce the indifference, helplessness, and moralizing. This process of education should start at the school level. Educating the parents about the possibility of children taking to drugs will reduce the sense of helplessness. Like in the school, drug abuse in workplace is also a serious problem. Both the employees and the employer should have accurate knowledge about drug abuse and related consequences. Children very soon discover that tobacco and alcohol are just as harmful as other illegal drugs. The discovery that one drug is legal and the other is illegal has nothing to do with its actual dangers. When a doctor says ganja is more harmful than tobacco, it is a lie. The government should make an extensive survey to assess the extent of the problem of the most vulnerable zones. Government needs to encourage other agencies to help out in the prevention and treatment of drug abuse. Removing the glamour. Drug abuse has become a serious menace for our human race due to certain factors in the society. To control the problem of drug abuse, it is important to try to change the beliefs, habits, and social customs that make the drug and alcohol use pleasurable, glamorous, and special. The society will have to learn to examine actively all those expressions that are currently used to make the drug appear special and replace them by words which more accurately describe the real experience. Many of the tabloids advertise tobacco and alcohol as the best means of relaxation. You are all familiar with the punchline, relax, have a Charminar, or name director's special. They try to establish the myth that to relax, the best means is to smoke and to be somebody in the corporate hierarchies to drink alcohol. If the society begins to see drug use and alcohol consumption as something silly and flat, the prevention work will be more successful. Gradually, society can hope to reach the stage where even habitual users recognize that they are stuck in a limited routine and therefore less able to enjoy their life in a real manner. So, as we went through the various sections of this podcast, we were getting more familiarized with the problems of drug abuse and the importance of studying the various aspects of it. The first section gave us a detailed description about the importance of this study, and the next section described the close relation between the two epidemics, drug abuse and HIV AIDS. And We also saw what drug abuse is and helped to familiarize us with some of the important concepts related to this study. And in the end, we saw a history of substance abuse. The concluding section gave us a description of the public attitude to drug abuse. When we complete this learning, we'll be more confidently able to discuss some of the issues which were totally strange to us before.